Join Kathy and I today to explore the legendary heights of Kruja. Imagine standing on these very ramparts where a small army once held off an entire empire. I must say, it's not just about the stone and mortar. These views really give you a sense of why this place was the soul of the resistance for so long. Then, we're diving into the Krujë Bazaar. Guess what? This market has been the heart of trade here since the 15th century. Actually, it's pretty interesting that these shops survived 500 years of Turkish rule, and they are still thriving today. You'll see some incredible local crafts, like these beautiful trays hand-carved from solid olive wood. And of course, we're heading into a kitchen where they still cook over a wood fire, exactly like they did centuries ago. So, let's go together and explore this incredible place. So, day 3 of our 3-week road trip through Albania. We left Tirana early this morning to make it up here to Kruja, and we're so glad you're joining us on this beautiful day. We're on a bit of a schedule today because of the cable car later, but we aren't leaving until we find that famous old bazaar. Let's see what we can find up there together. This road takes us right up to the castle gate. It's a bit of a climb, but we're almost there. Actually, it's quite relaxed out here before the main entrance. There are some shops around and plenty of spots to sit under the trees and just take it all in. I must say, it's a nice little break, because we still have a bit of a walk to do before we're actually inside the castle walls. Check this out. This goat is putting in some serious work for a snack. Albanian goats are legendary for being agile and tough, which they have to be to survive on these cliffs. I must say, he's got quite the reach. We are right at the base of these walls now, and they really are towering over us. The path into the castle is just over here to our left. Walking through here, you can just imagine Skanderbeg's warriors on horseback charging through this exact choke point. This tunnel is 30 meters of solid rock and defense, built to stop an army in its tracks. We'll tell you much more about the legendary man himself later in the video, but for now, we've finally made it through to the heart of the castle. We'll be following these steps just like everyone else to get up to the castle grounds. I must say, it's a bit of a climb. Imagine what this was like when it was a real fortress and not a tourist spot. But we're almost there. I must say, this castle is the ultimate symbol of Albanian resistance. It's been sitting on this cliffside since the 5th century, but it's most famous for being the headquarters of Skanderbeg, the national hero we mentioned earlier. There is just so much history packed into these old stones. We're heading up toward the upper gardens now. It's a lot more open up here than the entrance was. Let's see what the view is like. These cannons are actually quite legendary. They date back to the 15th century Ottoman sieges, specifically the ones led by Sultan Murad II. It's incredible they're still here guarding the valley. Looking at those peaks, it's easy to see why 75% of this country is mountainous. That rugged terrain is exactly why it stayed so isolated for so long, especially during the 20th century. For over 40 years, Albania was one of the most closed-off places on earth under the dictator Enver Hoxha. He was so paranoid about an invasion that he built hundreds of thousands of concrete bunkers all over these hills. You still see them everywhere today, like little mushrooms in the landscape. The people here are incredibly resilient because of that history, but they've gone from total isolation to being some of the most welcoming people we've met. It's a lot to take in. Let's see what else is tucked away up here. That's Kathy, always a few steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
Here he is, the man himself, Gjorge Kastrioti, better known as Skanderbeg. He's the ultimate national hero who held off the Ottoman Empire for 25 years right from this spot. It's only our third day in Albania, so we're still very keen to see what the local food is all about. We've heard it's this incredible mix of Mediterranean and Balkan flavors. Plenty of fresh herbs, slow roasted meats, and of course, lots of local cheese. I must say, after all that climbing, I'm ready to see if the reality lives up to the hype. Being this high up, a well like this must be incredibly deep to reach water. It's a serious piece of engineering to have managed this on a cliffside. It's a pity they aren't serving lunch today, so we're just having coffee instead. But sitting here under this trellis with the grapes hanging right over our heads, I must say, it's not a bad place to take a break. The view from here is just incredible. Look at those houses built right into the side of the mountain. It's amazing to see how people have managed to live on these steep slopes for centuries. You really get a sense of how vertical this country is. Everything is just stacked on top of each other. It's a completely different way of life up here. Well, look at this guy. Watching him graze like that just reminds me that we still haven't actually had any lunch yet. I must say, I'm starting to get a little jealous of his meal. Here's another spot with a fantastic view, but still no luck with lunch. Every single table is either taken or reserved. I must say, we're not having much luck today, but at least the scenery is making up for it. Actually, it's probably for the best that we're heading back down. We noticed a few spots on the lower grounds earlier that looked promising. This path leads us right back toward the bazaar anyway, so hopefully we'll have better luck there. That brick stump to our left is a 15th century minaret. The hole through the middle used to hold the spiral staircase. It's pretty much all that's left of the mosque, built right after the Ottomans finally took the castle. Looking at these walls from down here is a completely different experience. They're absolutely massive when you're standing right at the base. It really puts the scale of this place into perspective compared to when we were walking around up top earlier. You can see exactly why this was such an intimidating fortress for anyone trying to get inside. Walking back through that 30-meter entrance again. Wait, you can hear the muezzin. It's interesting. The call to prayer reminds you just how deep the Ottoman influence goes here. Balkan Muslims have this a very distinct secular way of practicing that's unique to this part of Europe.
Hello.
Actually, look, we finally found the place with some open tables. You can really smell the food from here, and that wood smoke too. It's a great sign. Kathy went for the soup first, while I went straight for the main course. Meatballs in this really thick sauce. It's exactly what we needed after that long walk. Actually, look at the patterns on these carpets. They're really distinct and unique to Albania. It's a great sight as we're just entering the bazaar now. Actually, really, almost all these shops are built entirely from wood, which is why you see those characteristic low eaves and wide cobblestone paths. Back in the 17th century, there were over 150 shops here, and today it's still the best place to find traditional Albanian crafts like hand-woven textiles and really intricate silver filigree. And the drain right there in the middle of the street, you see it? It's really something you have to watch out for. Actually, that drain is really there to handle the heavy mountain rains. Since the whole street slopes down, well, it keeps the shops from flooding when the weather turns. Did you know? Albania was actually the very first officially atheist state in the world. Back in 1967, the government banned all religion and closed every single church and mosque. It's really wild to think about, especially when you see how peacefully how everyone lives together now. And if you're looking for a Big Mac, you're out of luck. Albania is one of the only countries in Europe that doesn't have a single McDonald's. They're really proud of their local food, and to be honest, after tasting the grilled meats here, you really won't miss the fast food chains at all. One thing that really trips up travellers is the head nodding. In Albania, nodding actually means no, and shaking your head means yes. It's a bit of a brain bender when you're trying to order coffee, but you get used to it really fast once you start talking to the locals. We're leaving the bazaar now and heading down to see what's at the end of this street. It's really nice and shady under these trees. Oh, Kathy just tripped a bit there. These paths really keep you on your toes. If you're new here, welcome to Armchair Travel. We're Kathy and Roy, and we're sharing our trips with those who can't hit the road right now, so you can travel with us from your own armchair. Please like the video. It really helps others find this content too. And subscribe, so you won't miss the upcoming videos. Thank you. Look at the locals under that canopy. Really relaxed, just having a coffee. It's interesting how modern and neat this area feels as we get closer to the town centre. The wrought iron there, it wraps right around those balconies on 3 sides. And these 2-storied houses are really neat, aren't they? Let's walk a bit further down and see what's here. Maybe it's not the old part, but we're really leaving the tourist area behind now. It feels much more local, right? This is definitely where the locals live, away from the tourist spots. You've got normal grocery stores, fruit outside. And that local cafe, really relaxed, isn't it? Thank you for joining us and staying right until the end. We really look forward to having you, well, joining us for our next walk here in Albania, right?